welcome back to Spies and Sabotage for our NAEU, although EU isn't really here anymore, Grand Finals Best of 3. We've come a long way in this tournament that spanned 2 days, loads of matches. We've seen lots of spies used, we've seen lots of fun rules, lots of cool contracts. I'm here with our Grand Finals casters, Akuma and Rallying Cry. Break it down for us. How did we get here, and what do we look for going forward?
I'm pretty sure I flew to the studio, and that's how I got here.
Yeah,
that's not what you meant. I'm sorry. Okay.
How did the Dota evolve to this point?
Oh,
Don't tell me the story of Ice Frog.
Have you heard the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise? No. We've come a long way here. Medium Bots and Goose Gang, they've both fought through, and they're both NA teams. But more importantly, this is a run-back match. So, Medium Bots were the underdogs in their last bout against an EU team, Insanity. But in a very, very fast game of 4 Protect 1, they managed to find the VIP, get an opening smoke gank, one more gank in lane, and then finally a kill in the triangle using a Pudge strat to get 3 kills on the Spectre in under 15 minutes, bringing Medium Bots here. Goose Gang, on the other hand, had to do a long game against Daddy's Nest in the semifinals, where, in reverse captain's mode, they ended up getting an Anti-Mage and Terrorblade and drafting heroes that are countered very heavily by Anti-Mage, including Medusa and Storm Spirit. So that is the way that we got here. And in addition... I'm sorry.
No, continue.
I'd had the stream open and got hit by the delay because I'd forgotten to turn the volume off.
All right.
Super professional. But, anyways,
What
Go ahead.
did you think of their first match? They did play each other, and it looks like, if I can pull up our resources on that, we saw it was obviously a Goose Gang victory, knocking Medium Bots to the lower bracket. They did survive an entire lower bracket run.
The first game on that in particular was an interesting one, and kind of one of my highlights, just because of the fact that it was a forced tri-lane game. So, the Medium Bots opted to have their tri-lane be in the safe lane, very traditional, and to put an Axe in the solo off lane. Whereas Goose Gang opted to put their tri-lane in their off lane and give Troll Warlord a solo lane where he, by some force of nature, just had a dominating lane against Axe. And that carried them alongside a Clinks to just take that game in 29 minutes even.
So both these teams are obviously good at Dota. That's how they got to the Grand Finals. And they are also good at our Spies and Sabotage rules. But from your perspective, how has the rule set affected them? Which team, if you had to pick one, would you say has been better at adapting or has had the better spy economy? Let's talk about the Spies and Sabotage metagame.
I just want to comment on Medium Bots. Unfortunately, I haven't watched most of the NA games because it hasn't matched my EU schedule. But just on the last game of Medium Bots versus Insanity, they seem to respond so well to the change in rule set. The 4 Protect 1 was a particular example. So they did a 5-man smoke gank, they picked the Pudge, and you could see their Wraith King was playing very, very carefully. He had a fantastic foresight to rotate out of his lane instantly when he knew that he was going to be ganked. And just from that game alone, you can tell Medium Bots, they really think about the rule set changes. They adapt to it. And that's why I think they're going to be pretty strong, in this final. Unfortunately, I haven't seen much of Goose Gang play, so I'll pass over to you for analysis of their playstyle.
One of the things I think, and I think you've got it pretty much spot on, is if your modifiers turn it into more of a straight game of Dota, something that is, even in the case of reverse draft, but something where it's just, okay, go and kill the Ancient, I think Goose Gang are going to have the edge. They're they feel a little bit more solid with regard to their team play and with regard to their understanding of their lanes and how to move that into the mid game. Whereas I feel like there's so much brain elasticity in medium bots, allowing them to adapt to the changing circumstances that you get in some of these modifiers to really just give them a drafting advantage and an understanding of how to set their game up. Even in the game they lost against Goose Gang at the very, very beginning, their lane setup was really good. It was just a matter of execution, comfort on their heroes, and things that should have been resoundingly excellent lanes for them turning into disasters.
So we touched a little bit on the spy economy. Going into this best of 3 match, keeping in mind that for each game in the match, the teams will have the chance to both spend their spies and to earn more via contracts. Going into this, Medium Bots has 10 spies and Goose Gang has 16. If they wanted to, both teams could get a strong opening right off the bat and purchase all 4 sabotages. We don't know what those will be yet. We are still waiting for those to be rolled, but generally they provide you an advantage over the other team. What would be your economic strategy? If you were a captain, you've got at least 10 spies, you can buy out the first match. Do you open up strong or do you hold back on match 1 and see what happens?
Well, my opinion of some of the sabotages is not all 4 of them are worth it. Of course, that depends on the players and the play style and what they are predicting their opponents are going to do. But for example, there's the one where you don't allow the enemy team to buy a quelling blade. To me, I don't really value that very highly. So even if I had the spies to purchase it, I'd probably be saving them. Now, obviously, this is a best of 3, so they are going to need some spies for game 2. I would probably be spending around 6 or 7 of my spies and trying to pick up a few more contracts as well. You only need 10 spies to get every sabotage, so maybe spend 6 or 7 and then pick up another 4 or 5 through contracts, and that's how I'd play it.
So I think it's a little bit different for me, and going with the 6 or 7 per game is pretty good, and it ultimately depends on how your sabotages run out per game. Maybe you get one, like you said, with that quelling blade restriction, where it's just not something that feels all that impactful. But if there are good sabotages in each game, I think I'm going to try and spend really hard in the first round and look for that win. I'm not going to take a single contract to replenish. And I'm going to think, all right, if I win this one, if I spend everything on it, my second game, we're going to play our hearts out, but we don't have to expend a single resource. We're going to get ourselves as close to 10 as we can again. And then for the third game, if you lose the second one, you've got your resources back, you spend again.
Let me ask you kind of a dumb question. Is planning your economy for a third game, is that a losing mentality or is that just being reasonable?
I think it's more along the lines of recognizing where your resources are. So if you think you're gonna get a good play out of the first game, you're looking for the advantage. It's the kind of thing where, like, the sabotages lean into something that's going to give advantage. I want to win the first game and I don't care how. So I'm going to spend out on there. And then game 2, we just play some straight dodo. We don't know what the rules are going to be. We don't know if we're going to win, if it's going to be something that works for us. So you play your hearts out, but you're just willing to play that one straight, so you're ready for the last one.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, actually.
That's a good perspective on it. We should give our audience some perspective on how this tournament works in case there are anyone in there, in case there is anyone watching who has not yet seen a game of Spies and Sabotage. We'll run through it real quick. For each match, or I guess for each game in a match, there are 2 rules rolled randomly that apply to both teams equally. There's additionally 4 sabotages selected from a larger pool available for purchase with our currency Spies. After spending those spies on sabotages, the teams may want to earn some more spies back for future games, which they would do with contracts, additional challenges that apply only to them that earn more spies upon successful completion, but incur a penalty on failure. We have our rules already rolled for this match, so let's go ahead and see what they are. Our random rule number 1 will be Roche off. Neither team is allowed to kill Roshan at any point. Let's see real quick how that pairs up with our second random rule, which is going to be attribute restriction. So, neither team can kill Roche, neither team can kill or can pick any strength heroes. This is some of the rules, tell you what you have to do. This is just 2 rules telling you what you can't do. So, how much does this impact the game in your mind?
Well, I like the attribute restriction ones because it really tightens up the drafting phase. There've been a few rules which increase the number of bans you can have. Immediately restricting an entire attribute, that's like how many heroes, sort of 35 or even 40 heroes just completely banned. So I think it makes the drafting a lot more interesting. It really changes the way Dota is going to be played. Usually you have at least one strength hero on your team, probably position 3 in the offlane. We've seen Axe, we've seen Pudge, even heroes like Phoenix, Wisp, that's been picked a lot. And now they're gone. So I think, it doesn't change once the game's been, actually drafted. It doesn't change it too much, but it makes the drafting very interesting. And that's why I really like that rule set.
All right. Well, in addition to our rules, we have 4 sabotages available for purchase in increasing prices. Our Tier 1 sabotage, costing 1 spy, will be Aghanim's Trial. A selected enemy hero chosen by the purchasing team will be unable to purchase Aghanim Scepter. Our Tier 2 sabotage, costing 2 spies. The enemy team cannot buy Tomes of Knowledge. Our Tier 3 sabotage, costing 3 spies. The enemy team's position 1 must buy all of the observers and sentries. It is important to note that they don't have to place them, they can just buy them and drop them on the floor. Observers are free, so at that point it's just the support saying, hey, carry, I need my wards, please buy them. But sentries, they're not free, and if you need a few early on in the game, that can set back the carry's progression. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. And finally, our Tier 4 sabotage will be Midas mode. The selected enemy hero chosen by the purchasing team must purchase a Hand of Midas before any other item. A bit of a clarification here, they get 600 gold to start with. They can purchase whatever they want with that starting gold, but then nothing else. No regen, no boots, unless you bought boots with your 600 gold. Once you leave the fountain to go to lane, you can't buy anything else once you hit Midas. So, those are all of our sabotages put together with no Roshan at any point and no strength heroes. What do you see, and what would you be thinking if you were a captain trying to pick?
So I'm already thinking just about the heroes that you're going to play. So 1, Burst is a lot more prioritized because everything's going to be squishy. Additionally, some of the supports that you're going to want to pick are going to want to be int heroes or edge heroes with higher strength gains. So things like Warlock or things like Ogre are going to be pretty good in my book. Additionally, heroes like Templar Assassin or like Ursa, who are picked and have one of the elements being something that they're very good at taking Roshan, a little bit less valuable. Doesn't mean that they're not good, it just means that they're not quite as much of a focus as you might have gone previously.
Rallying Cry, do you have any notes on the topic?
Available sabotages. I feel like Midas mode is a bit overrated for a tier 4 sabotage, and I know we were talking about saving spies, so for me that's the one I'd probably avoid. I wouldn't be putting my 4 spies into Midas mode because yes, you force someone to build a Midas, but if they pull it off, they're now a hero with a Midas, which is not always a good thing. So I think the other 3 are good, but personally I wouldn't be using a spy on Midas mode.
All right, well, we do have our team selections, keeping in mind that the Radiant will be medium bots and the Dire is Goose Gang. Medium bots on the Radiant having 10 spies available to spend. Goose Gang on the Dire. Medium bots on the Radiant, 10 spies. Goose Gang on the Dire, 16. And they have chosen to spend them on these.
Both teams taking Aghanim's Trial and Midas mode, so it's one that you don't necessarily think is the most impactful, but they can really hobble a support with that. No tomes available at all for medium bots, and Wardhog as well. So their pause 1 is going to have to buy every single ward. It's going to really just funnel the vision game, because you know that if they're going to try and ward on the other side of the map with their pause 1, it's going to take a lot more time. They're going to have to control their crow.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got 16 spies, I would just be buying everything as well. You've still got 6 left even after this round. And I agree with the strategy you talked about. You really want to try and win the first game, because that puts you in a much stronger position in the best of 3. So I can agree with that spending.
All right. Well, the rules have been placed. The sabotages have been revealed. We have one last step to go through. That is the contracts. This is a best of 3. There will be additional matches, and the teams do want to earn more spies. Let's see how they've chosen to do that. Radiant took only 1 contract, and it will be 1 for each foot. So a player on your team has to buy 2 sets of brown boots. They cannot be sold, but they can be upgraded. We've seen this before on support heroes. One very popular way to execute this is Pugna Double Tranquils. There are some heroes that just don't mind having 2 boots. So we will see how they choose to execute this. The Dire chose 2 contracts for their first game of this best of 3. The first contract that they have selected is one that I don't know that we've seen executed at all. No thanks. Purchase a Holy Locket. That's it. It's a regular item. It's in Dota. It's all you have to do is buy Holy Locket. I don't think it's that bad, but we'll see what the teams think, because they're the ones that have to actually buy it. I just have to watch them. And the second contract that Dire has selected is Flight of the Donkeys. Each person must send their courier to the enemy outpost. Once all 5 couriers are at the outpost, you gotta take them to your own outpost. Does not have to be a direct path. You can zig and zag through the jungle as much or as little as you want, but you do have to get them there alive. That's all the contracts.
Now, I'm
I'm
curious, and I think that I'm betting that chat is curious about this as well. With the Flight of the Donkeys, what if you take the outpost first and then put the birds there? It's still the enemy outpost, but they can't see it anymore.
That is true, and that could be a good strategy. It's already an important point that you don't really want to do this while they're walking. You want to wait until they're flying.
I think they have to be flying, right? Otherwise it'd
Yeah.
be called like March of the Donkeys or Walk of the Donkeys.
I think we even we had the whole walk into Mordor contract before, so it's gonna work out. Just I think you're gonna want to have the flying donkey. That's all you can say about it.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, this is a best of 3. This is grand finals. Both of these teams really want to just have the championship, have the namesake, and winning this is going to be so important, because it means that not only are you just going to have the 1 game buffer, you're going to have your spies left over. You're going to have the option of spending next round or the round after trying to eco up whatever it is that you're going to do. There's so many tactical considerations, and these teams have been playing Dota nonstop for the past 2 days. I can't wait to see what they come up with in this particular variant.
I agree. I've been particularly impressed with the skills of these teams. I mean, bearing in mind they're only sort of up to Archon or even Legend level, so relatively new to Dota, but they've been putting some incredibly well-coordinated plays, even plays I don't see in my ranked games. So, yeah, I'm really excited for this grand final set.
Is there any particular hero that, with the strength restriction, you are thinking is just going to be a primary hero in the draft?
I'll just bring up the list of heroes. I'm not a big fan of playing strength heroes myself anyway, so that wouldn't affect me individually. Personally, I would be thinking about Lone Druid, but I'm not sure if it's a hero many of these players play. But Lone Druid is very durable. The bear has a lot of HP. Lone Druid itself has a lot of HP, and the bear is very good at killing quite squishy heroes. So that would probably be my main go-to. But again, it's a hero someone has to be quite comfortable with. You can't put someone on first-time Lone Druid.
We did actually see Goose Gang in their last game was pinned with a Lone Druid in their reverse captain's draft. And it didn't go so well for them. So, We might see it for medium bots, but I don't think it's going to play out for Goose Gang. But as a hero concept, I love it.
Oh, I love it too. Big fan of that hero.
So we are briefly holding here while we work out some technical issues in the lobby. We are going to keep talking about how this match is going to play out. I mean, our rules, no Roshan. How does that? I mean, you already talked about we don't have strength heroes. We will have heroes that don't have a lot of strength gain. There might not be a whole lot of tank on these teams. That's not to say there aren't heroes in the rest of the pool that can't become very tanky. You brought up Ogre. I know you can build Spectre extremely tanky. You can get like a 5.5k health Spectre. But how does not being able to take Aegis, not being able to secure that second life, change your strategy going forward?
Well, Akuma mentioned that you're not going to pick a hero that is specifically quick at killing Roshan, like Ursa. But I don't think it's going to make a massive impact. I mean, I guess it gives you less options once you win a team fight. Oh, should we take Roche or should we push a tower? Should we ward up their jungle? You just remove one of the options immediately. Okay, we might as well push a tower or start warding up their jungle. So I can't see it making a massive difference personally.
I think, too, one of the things is that even though the geography of the map generally favors Radiant because of the location around Roche and the towers that are easier or more difficult to take, I'm wondering if their positioning in the mid game is still going to center around the Roche pit, even if they can't take it, just because of habit, like brain muscle memory of just, okay, it's 20, 30 minutes in, they could be going for Roche. We're just going to posture around our triangle on Radiant. Wait a minute. I don't know. It's the kind of thing that I think about in terms of just the habits that people have that they don't always know why they have those habits.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, these players have been quite good at adapting to completely different styles of gameplay. So, I'm sure they'll take to it well.
We are going to move into the draft, though. Game 1 of the grand finals between Medium Bots and Goose Gang. Here we go. Looks like medium bots have been assessed with a substantial reserve time penalty. I think that was because of some issues they had in their last game involving the Protect 1 and the President modifier. I think there was some penalty associated with that.
Yes, I think we shouldn't dwell on that game too much, but just going in, they've got 1 minute and 10 seconds less reserve time, so they're going to have to make sure their picks are nice and speedy.
There is a pause, though, actually, on the draft screen, so it's just going to be an extra moment.
True.
And I do have clarification that the level 2 draft penalty is due to a preemptive canceled GG. So they called it, then canceled it.
Okay, I respect that. I think that's a pretty reasonable answer for that. But anyways, there's a last minute sub as well. So Hammy for Goose Gang is subbing in for Cookie, I believe, who was the mid player on Goose Gang. So that is going to be, we're going to have to see if that actually affects Goose Gang's synergies and composition and like how they play in general. Maybe now they're going to have a lone druid.
Well, maybe. I don't know much about these players, unfortunately, so it's all a surprise to me, which keeps it exciting.
I'm not familiar with Hammy. I know a handful of these players, and medium bots have actually changed up their names a little bit, just trying to have some fun. I like the bot Wee, bot Dendy, bot Smiley Face, like keeping it nice and friendly and themed for their team.
Yeah, he'll fit in just fine. I think one thing I just wanted to talk about briefly is the contract which has been picked so often by these teams, the one where you need one hero to buy 2 pairs of boots. I think it's called 1 for each foot.
Yes.
Now, I've read it over and over, and it just says that a player must have 2 boots in their inventory. Okay, can be the backpack as well. I don't see why you need a player to kind of go out of their way to buy 2 different sets of boots during the course of the game. why not just wait till the game's about to be over and then just buy the second boot? Then you've done it, and you haven't sort of gimped your own gameplay.
And that works as well. The other thing I was thinking about, and that was actually done in that reverse draft, is Lone Druid. He's gonna buy 2 sets of boots, and it doesn't hurt him at all.
Oh yeah, true. Does that count? Because it's not on his hero; it's on his bear.
It's on his hero for a moment as he gets it delivered, and then transfers it.
True, and at the very end of the game, you could just quickly put it back on your hero if that's the requirement. Yeah, I like that. That makes sense.
He's a 12-slot hero. He's the only 12-slot hero in the game.
That's true. I was just having a look at the heroes in the game and their strength gain. So we talked about Ogre. He has one of the highest strength gains in the game for a non-strength hero. Other heroes who feature Darkseer, 3.1 strength gain, same as Death Prophet. Their starting strength isn't super high, but that's quite a high gain. We've then got quite a few heroes with 3 strength per level. That gives us Arc Warden, surprisingly, Jakiro, Morphling, Warlock, and even Windranger. So there is a good range of heroes who actually will naturally become quite tanky, and especially a hero like Darkseer is just going to build durable items. So I would definitely be thinking about a Darkseer Pos 3.
I think there's 2 more heroes that I really want to highlight on, and you touched on one of them briefly, but I want to kind of go a little bit deeper into it for a reason that's not exactly obvious. So, without strength heroes, you lose a lot of the melee hero pool. There's a lot of agi carries still that are going to be melee heroes, but you're going to see a lot more range in your game typically. So I think that there's going to be a definite premium if you know how to play it on a well-played Arc Warden, who's already a strong hero, but the bubble just becomes that much more effective with fewer melee heroes. And in addition, I think Clinks is going to be another hero that will be remarkably effective because he's great at picking off those squishy heroes. He's got Strafe. And even though he's not the beefiest on his own, he can get kind of tanky when he's got Death Pact active.
I would definitely agree with the Clinks. Clinks, the 2 points you said were just perfect. He can tank up with Death Pact, and he's good at picking off, vulnerable targets. I don't know if we've seen a lot of Clinks. I haven't been following any game. Have there been some good Clinks picks?
There was actually a Clinks in the original matchup between Goose Gang and Medium Bots. They had a mid Clinks that was one of the things that really snowballed them to a victory.
Oh, well, there you go then.
That was on Cookie, who is not playing in this match. Again, Cookie has been subbed out for Hammy, so we're going to have to see if that's still in their pool, if it's still something that's worth playing, or if we're even going to see Medium Bots pick it up.
Definitely one to consider.
I think we're going to be getting back into this in just a moment. There's a lot of chat going on. Apparently there's one player who's not connected to voice. And one of the things, too, that's so amazing about organized play, about competitive play, is that the coordination. You talked about how they're having these plays that you don't even see in your pubs. And that's just because you can talk to each other in real time, you can coordinate this stuff out, and you can make the calls to help your team out.
I think it's also a lot of the mindset of the players, because I'm just in lower mortal when I play solo games, but even though we can communicate and we do, everyone has that mentality, I need to play the best myself and then think about your team later. Whereas when you're in a tournament, you are always thinking about the team, you're always moving as a cohesive unit, making calls, discussing things, and we've definitely seen some really coordinated team play, which is obviously a lot harder to do when you're coordinating with 4 random people. So yeah, it's been really exciting to see that, especially on newer players who, are still learning the game themselves, or are still, trying to get out of that Archon bracket, but yet they still have that ability to team play, which is a very difficult skill to develop.
It requires so much trust and so much understanding and awareness of the game around you, and understanding what you have to call and what you just have to trust. So what do you think about these bans so far?
Well, I think I think this might be, it's hard to say. I'd say this is a banning error in my opinion, because phase 1, it's unlikely cores are going to be picked, as you can see. First pick, Vengeful Spirit. I'm predicting 3 more sort of supports or maybe up to POS 3 heroes being picked. So I think banning the cores in phase 1 is not really a good idea. You want to be banning out a couple of key supports, and then in the phase 2 bans, you want to be banning out the cores, because it's very unlikely you're going to... Was any team going to really pick Shadow Fiend first hero? That seems pretty unlikely to me. Again, see? Support. So you want to deny some of the supports you don't want to play against, rather than already start banning the cores.
I like both of these picks too. I like the Venge because, like I was talking about, without strength heroes, you're more likely to have a little bit more of a ranged profile, which Venge is fantastic with the aura. Additionally, if you're going to be focusing on more bursty style things, Venge isn't the tankiest on her own, but the Ghost and the second life and the auras you can get out of that really can still help your team a lot. So
I've always been a fan of Venge.
I like this pick. It has a lot of offense, it has a lot of defense potential, and I think it's something that's going to work out well, and you don't care about Roche at all on Venge. You don't care about it whatsoever.
Yep, that's true. Oh, picking Anti-Mage and Luna very early. So this is quite different drafting to what I'm used to. They're picking their cores very, very early on in the draft. They are phase 1 picking the cores. So we've already got Anti-Mage, we've got Luna. Maybe Anti-Mage thinks, you know, there's no tanky strength heroes that I need to chew through. It's going to be nice squishy heroes. Anti-Mage is going to be able to pick them off.
And I already know, too, that is being picked for Devirus on Goose Gang. I'm not quite as familiar with the picks for medium bots, simply because of the fact they have changed their names to fall under topic. But I know that Luna Venge was something that I think we saw out of them earlier in the tournament to a pretty good effect. Additionally, I think that the one of the things you also have to think about is one of your heroes on each team is going to be forced into an early Midas. And even though it's not the kind of thing where like you want to specifically plan around that, having all of your heroes be comfortable with flexing into a early farming role to get that Midas quickly and free up the pressure is not a bad strategy when it comes to the draft in this particular variant.
I mean, I guess it depends on how you want to use the Midas mode, because you could put it on a support. Now, if you put it on a hero like Vengeful Spirit or like Witch Doctor, for example, they have no easy way to farm, no matter what they do or how they play, unless they literally are allowed to last it in lane. So that could definitely take a support a little bit out of the game. But alternatively, you could put it on a hero like Anti-Mage. Now, I can't remember which team exactly picked it. It was Goose Gang. Oh no, both teams picked Midas mode, didn't they?
Yes.
So if you put it onto Anti-Mage, Anti-Mage doesn't want to rush a Midas. He wants to get his Battle Fury. So even though Midas helps him farm, it's quite an awkward item for Anti-Mage to try and build, because he has to build the Midas and then build the entire Battle Fury. So that could be an option. You could even put it on a mid hero, which then forces them to not be able to buy boots. They can't buy a bottle. And that could really mess up their laning.
It's definitely. And there's a lot of different options. It's actually very hampering to a single hero. And there are very few heroes that want to rush Midas. So maybe if it's even worth having at least one of those heroes who wants to get that in the draft.
Is an option.
Banning out the Invoker and the Dark Willow. Dark Willow is an interesting ban to me. That's a hero that can really chew through squishy heroes once she hits 6. But, is deceptively tanky with that Shadow Realm.
Yeah, it's sort of survivability in a different way, isn't it? It's not just having high amounts of health, but it's being able to survive using a spell instead.
And it's not even the kind of thing where you can use a Dust like you would against a Bounty Hunter or a Clinks or a Riki. It's just you can't target it. You know exactly where it is, kind of like Slark.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe for that exact reason, Slark was banned pretty quickly.
Another just deceptively... a lot of the heroes that Slark is good against, especially in lane, are not going to be eligible because of the lack of strength heroes. You don't get the stat bags, as I've heard it called before. I like the Clinks ban here.
Yes, we talked about that. They knew it. They banned it. They're certainly not throwing out random bans.
Viper's a pretty solid pick here, I think.
He's a fairly durable hero too. He's got that built-in magic resist. He tends to build fairly durable items. And there's the ogre, as you predicted.
I'm starting to wonder if there's like a side channel going out to the teams that are listening to me talk. Really, I gotta make you guys understand, I'm just spitballing here. I don't know anything about this game. They picked me up off the street yesterday.
Well, you don't have to be a pro player or 8,000 MMR to at least think about the game and make some good guesses.
Looking at Grimstroke, you're going to be able to possibly get the double up on Cask, double up on Viper Strike, double Mana Void, which is very strong, and you can also combine the Inkswell with Anti-Mage on a Blink In to guarantee that stun.
Yeah, it's a good laning combo. I've run it before. Necrophos, I think, is quite an interesting pick because there aren't any heroes which are really they're not gonna build huge amounts of health, right? Viper's not a great target because his health is at a medium level, maybe around 2,000, even in the mid game, but he has a high amount of magic resist. Anti-Mage, he has so much magic resistance, and he could even reflect the Reaper's Scythe. So Necro, to me, that's a bit of an interesting pick.
That was actually one of the heroes that I was thinking about at the start of the draft when I was seeing the strength restriction as something that I really wouldn't want to pick. And it was like, I was really mulling it through my mind. I wasn't saying anything about it, but it's like, Necro is a hero that has some burst, but it's typically burst against stronger heroes, against tankier heroes. You have some damage, you have some sustain, but he really likes these long fights. He really likes drawn-out engagements, being able to heal up, being able to chip away at heroes, and doing the percentage-based damage. And it's not going to have as much effect, I think, against this draft, but maybe just the fact that there's a lot of things that are going to be AoE, he's got a pretty solid team around him, is going to make it be hard for Goose Gang to actually strike any kills onto medium bots.
They certainly have a team that's pretty difficult to kill. But we'll see how they fare in the lanes. I mean, laning against Viper is always bad. There's no hero who goes, yes, I'd love to lane against Viper, my favorite. That every hero against Viper goes from awful, hard countered to I'll just about survive. So I'm assuming it's Viper mid, but Viper can be played in other roles. Even in the pro scene it happens. So we'll see where it goes. Could still be offlane.
You occasionally see Viper in the offlane. I think that really the only even remotely equitable matchup I can think of against Viper is Puck.
Yeah, I think Puck is pretty good against Viper. I would still give Viper the edge even so.
Yeah, definitely so, especially in lane, but I think Puck has more of the utility overall eventually. But Puck we're not going to see. Puck has been banned out by the team that picked the Vipers, so I think they have an understanding of that matchup, something that they want to be able to have the Viper just steamroll their lane.
Well, we've got one ban left, and then they're going to have to pick their last heroes. Interesting that the Queen of Pain and the Storm Spirit was banned. That means that medium bots think that Viper is indeed going to be in the off lane and not being played as a mid laner.
Definitely agree. And I think that they're just over-prioritizing some of that burst and pick when you've already got a pretty durable team on medium bots. If Venge gets even a moment, you can swap the Ogre Magi in instead and keep Venge in a pretty safe position. Necro's hard to kill. Luna gets relatively tanky and has good armor overall. And that's going to be a Pugna to round it out. Do you think that's a Pugna in the mid lane or in the off lane?
Oh, it's hard to tell, really. I think the Necrophos and the Pugna are just completely interchangeable. They're both... I think Pugna struggles less against Viper, assuming it's Viper mid. We're going to find out pretty soon. Pugna is an interesting pick. I think he may struggle against Anti-Mage because Pugna has low HP, enormous mana pool, and uses it very, very quickly. Anti-Mage can pretty much just turn up, Mana Void, thanks for the kill, I'm out of here. So, well, I mean, Decrepify, it can be good against Viper. It stops him applying poison stacks. It stops Anti-Mage auto-attacking. It stops Witch Doctor's ult from hurting you. So there is some sort of synergy there.
Ember Spirit probably mid. I think Viper in the offlane. You could have Ember offlane. This is both drafts very flexible.
I think we're going to see Ember Spirit in the mid lane and Viper in the off lane. That would be my prediction. No idea about Pugna or Necrophos.
Hammy is going to be taking the Ember, so that will be in the mid lane. And I believe that Smiley Face has been the mid laner for medium bots. So I think we're going to see Pugna versus Ember in the mid lane.
Okay.
So we're going to need to see which hero is going to take the Midas. That will be in the game. Just looking at it right now, I feel like medium bots is going to have a little bit of difficulty securing a kill unless they have Eclipse running.
Yes, I would agree with that. I'm trying to think, which hero would you be targeting for the Midas? So I think in both of those teams, I would be tempted to put it on a support. Obviously, you would not target an Ogre Magi. So probably Vengeful Spirit and Witch Doctor are the heroes I'd select for the Midas.
I definitely think that that's a good idea. Grimstroke's going to be able to farm out okay. Pugna's going to be able to farm out okay, and you're going to want to be hitting creeps and Pugna anyways. But I think it's got to be the Venge for medium bots, and Witch Doctor's the one that makes the most sense on the Dire Squad. Additionally, too, even that means that you're not going to be able to buy any extra regen as a support for your carry, so it's going to make their economy impacted even more. And if I recall correctly, I might be thinking of the wrong game, but I'm pretty sure that Goose Gang purchased the Sabotage that's going to mandate that the carry for medium bots is going to have to buy all of the wards. So you are taxing the economy on the pause one so hard.
Oh, interesting. So they've just chosen the targets which are not allowed to buy Ags and have to buy Midas, and that means straight after their starting items, they've got to start building the Midas. They have chosen Vengeful Spirit to buy Midas, like we talked about. Can't farm, it's a support. Now can't get boots, can't get anything useful to help the team. It's just going to have to get Midas. But interestingly, they've chosen to put it onto Anti-Mage. So now this Anti-Mage has to go Midas first item, when really he wants to be building up for his Battle Fury. But maybe it backfires. If he has a good lane and does get the Midas in a good time, under 10 minutes, then he's going to be pretty farmed.
And that's what you were talking about too, is just disrupting that timing. I think this is going to go a little bit more in favor because of that little tiny restriction on forcing the wards to be bought by the EUNA, I believe. I think it's going to have a little bit less disruption on the anti-mage than we would otherwise expect. But it's still going to be very, very painful, and it's going to have to adapt his entire build around it and all of his timings. Pugna will be moving to the mid lane. That means we're going to see the off-lane Necrophos.
I personally would have banned the EUNA from getting the Ags rather than the Pugna, because Pugna Ags is bought sometimes on mid Pugnas, but I think EUNA Ags is more impactful. But maybe they think Luna's just going to go for a traditional auto-attack build and therefore won't be picking up Ags.
Can I still ban regen? Is asked. No, you can't buy regen, not ban regen. But one of the things I do like about the carry being forced into this is that the support's still going to be able to buy regen for the carry. You can buy salves, you can buy tangos, you can share them over. It's going to be very, very intense and difficult, especially because Anti-Mage is not the strongest laner, especially not against a Necrophos and an Ogre. But, I kind of like I like the way that medium bots are going. They're going to be eating so much of his regen and just constantly forcing the Witch Doctor to heal.
I mean, if you knew that you can't buy any regen and you're relying on shared tangos and salves, would you really start with no regen? Just a Wraithband and some shared tangos? I would be buying as much regen as possible. I'd have, 6 tangos, a salve, maybe a quelling blade, a couple of iron branches. But he's like, no, I'm going to be fine. Witch Doctor will heal me. Witch Doctor will salve me.
Just leaning on the support.
Yeah, poor guy.
Miriam Weepster is going to be holding a baby bottle to his mouth,
Yeah. Well, we'll see if he manages to get any farm of his own. Hopefully he's not walking around bootless for 20 minutes.
How do you think the mid lane matchup's going to fare between the Ember Spirit and the Pugna?
I think this is a skill matchup, so it could go either way, honestly. I think Pugna probably has a slight edge in the early game, but Ember's pretty good once he gets some levels going, so we'll see. Could be anyone's game.
Pretty even split, slightly favoring Ember Spirit in the last hitting game, but overall that just projectile speed and understanding of your hero's animations and things. Not a lot of heroes play a lot of Pugna, so I can't imagine there's going to be a ton of comfort there.
Well, I don't know these players too well, but yeah, Pugna's a pretty standard mid hero, so if he is a mid player, he may have played it a few times. It's fairly straightforward, same as most mid heroes, you know, push the wave, try and farm the jungle if you can, and Pugna also has the option to take a tower early. As soon as the Ember Spirit leaves, that tower is getting nuked over and over.
The Ogre in the top lane already out of mana. Anti-Mage actually started with his spell shield instead of mana break or anything like that, so wanting to play very defensive as he farms.
It's just a really good ability against Ogre. You see there, he's reflected the Ignite again, or at least once. I think he might have done it once.
I know he's attempted to do it more than once, but he's been just every time it's cast, reflecting it.
It's so good against Ogre. So he can't be harassed by Ogre's Ignite pretty much throughout the entire laning stage.
I have played a lot of just pub games with Devirus, and a couple against him, even in in-houses and things like that. And I will say that just he has very good reflexes on those heroes that want to be dodging or reacting to enemy abilities. So things like Phantom Lancer, things like Anti-Mage. So I think that he's going to have a relatively easy time dealing with all of this. A little bit of harass in the bottom lane. Not going to be drawing any blood out of it, though. We do see the Wave of Terror. They're trying to now collapse onto Betabits. Betabits is getting eaten alive. Might fall here, using the Fairy Fire to try and make it away, but I think he's going to make it under tower. There's the Stroke of Fate to get the slow, and it will be enough to keep Betabits alive.
He's just bought himself some tangos, a salve. There is a salve on Kira, if he's willing to share it with the Viper. They're sort of grouping up on each other. Yep, he will get a salve. But yeah, really good harassment out in the bot lane.
Rohobot is the designated Midas buyer for the Radiant, and has a ton of regen, but starting to run out of it. It's going to be a while before you really find the gold for a Midas on a Vengeful Spirit. Already has the Gloves of Haste coming out, though, using the pools and trying to get the little bit of residual gold you get off of last hitting those jungle camps off of a pool to help.
Looks like there was a
Maledict in the top lane.
Snipe. Chasing Miriam.
To ignite Miriam, yeah.
I don't think he can kill him. It's going to be okay. No mana at all on the Ogre Magi, and no mana regen in his inventory. Oh, he just sent in 4 mangoes and 2 clarities. As I said that, he's going straight back in. Can he find the kill? He doesn't have vision.
Oh no, just juking around all around them.
Oh, there goes the ward. Out comes Ignite. He's not used clarity. Mana for stun with the mango. One more auto attack. It's going to be first blood. Pulling the creep wave now as well.
Relatively worth it. You're getting your carry farm, getting a little bit of XP off of that as well. This Ogre is doing a good job of applying pressure. He's got the clarity that's going to be running in just a moment. But I'd be pretty happy in that offlane if I was on medium bots. Yes, the Anti-Mage is getting farm, but you're able to get some of the resources for yourself. You're able to have a pretty decent start. The Anti-Mage is still 1,200 away from that Midas.
Witch Doctor's brought himself 2 salves, using 1 straight away on the Anti-Mage, and sharing a tango, so he really is doing his support role, taking it very seriously.
When he's not able to buy anything else but that Midas rush, you really have to. I have to think, though, as soon as Anti-Mage gets that Midas, he is just going to take off in net worth and experience. Playing very, very patiently, waiting to use that spell shield. Dendybot even using the Ghost Walk, reflecting the Ignite, and now they're collapsing onto Roxy Roro, Miriam Weebster. Not having a Maledict that's going to be too useful there was used earlier in the fight. Still on cooldown.
There's been a lot of fighting in this top lane. But I don't think they have the resources to actually go for a kill. I mean, they did get a kill on Miriam, but I think this Anti-Mage is going to be fine. He can always blink away. They don't have the means to lock him down.
And I don't even think that the Witch Doctor is really looking for a kill. Oh, in the mid lane, a little bit of aggression with the illusions, trying to move on to Smiley Face. He's going to make it away with the Decrepify. But not going to turn into a kill for either team yet. Both of them about half health.
Just exchanging blows in the bot lane. But not going to lead to any kills just yet. Only one kill so far in 6 minutes. And it was Ogre getting a solo kill on a Witch Doctor.
Anti-Mage is extremely low. Is going to need to have another salve delivered by the Witch Doc.
He's actually holding one, so he'll share it now.
May get cancelled. We see Roxy Rora moving around. He's going to have vision, but not in time. Paralyzing Cask only going onto one. No bounce. Trying to maledict the Ogre Magi as well. We see him popping mangoes. But Anti-Mage still farming up 800 away from that Midas. How's the Venge doing? Looking for a kill. They might get Beta Bits. Stroke of Fate out. Lucent Beam to finish.
Second kill of the game. Luna is quite low. We'll need to regen up. Still has 3 tangos.
The thing that I find remarkably interesting is that the Venge is only about 4, maybe 600 gold behind the Anti-Mage on the way to that Midas.
Wow, is that really true? Let's have a look at current gold. Oh yeah, that is the case. Okay, it looks like Maledict finally claims a victim. They get a return kill in the top lane.
It's, even though Anti-Mage is not farming very poorly, like, this is just, he's not that far ahead of the supports, especially when you've had a support who's been pulling, who's going to go down here, possibly, unfortunately. There is the Eclipse in the bot lane. Bot Rojo, very low on health. We see the TPs coming in, the rotation. We're going to have Dendi bot as well, the Necrophos. Both of the heroes in this lane so low. Kira in danger of dying here as well. There's the Death Pulse, going to chip away at Kira. And that's going to be a possible double. No, instead they get the Venge, setback Venge on the gold, Lucent Beam to take down the Viper, and Kira will make it away.
Literally just got mana for that Lucent Beam. So they do find the kill there. An interesting thing about Luna is that her ultimate is a lot more powerful at level 7 than it is at level 6. And that seems to not make sense, but it relies on the current level of Lucent Beam. So the level 6 ult just doesn't have that same punch.
And we really saw it there. Both of the heroes for the Dire, for the Goose Gang, the Viper and the Grimstroke, brought low by the Eclipse, but not nearly the same devastating effect that we're used to seeing. DeVirus low in the top lane. He does have the Midas being flown out to him now. He has completed the Midas Rush.
Under 10 minutes is good timing for a Midas when you're playing in the safe lane. Mid laners want to look at it about 6 to 7 minutes. But now he's finally free to buy his own regen, to buy boots, to buy a wand, anything else he wants to buy. It's now unlocked for him. Plus he has a Midas, which, you know, is never a bad thing.
And he's not gonna have the same kind of momentum that you're used to seeing an Anti-Mage with the Battle Fury moving around. But he's gonna have pretty happy. We do see a little bit of aggression in the top lane. And Paralyzing Cask onto one once more. They've already got Maledict down, trying to hit Roxy Roro, but that heal's going to be great. Now, Davi's going to have to blink away. He's got the Midas. You have to put that on cooldown.
In bot lane, there's a bit of a fight breaking off. They do manage to kill Viper, but Rojo will go down in return. There's an Invis Ember Spirit here. Hami's going to look for a kill. Are they going to find it? They put the silence out early. Didn't see the Ember coming. That's why he wasn't running back. They've used the ink spell.
No.
Is it going to get the stun? Yes, it is. Does he have
Not a
enough
lot of damage here,
him?
though. No,
Yeah,
this
I
is
don't think so.
Luna has 15 armor, and even though both these heroes have pretty good magic damage, you're able to just shred apart the Flame Guard with that Lucent Beam, and now Hammy's gonna pay with the rotation in by Roxy Roro.
Yeah, he stayed way too far in, past his depth. And of course, leaving your lane to a Pugner as well, who could start pushing the tower. He's going to find a regen rune. It's very nice for him. Did pop it instantly, for some reason. Immediately he gets countered by the Witch Doctor.
Double stroke of Fate out. That's a lot of damage onto Roxy Roro in the bot lane. They're contesting over this bounty rune. They are going to get it for the Radiant. Medium bot's going to walk away from this pretty clean.
Still anyone's game. The gold difference is under 1,000. So we'll see what happens in the mid game.
do you think that there's been enough action to really call winners or losers in any particular lane? It looks like the mid lane's almost dead even.
Yeah, mid lane's been really good. Hammy did go for a rotation, but unfortunately it wasn't as successful as he hoped. But his
see
tower's
Witch
still
Doctor
alive,
moving in.
so...
Maledicted, once again, the single paralyzing cask.
How many times has this poor guy been maledicted? He spent pretty much half the game purple.
Just changing the color for one of the contracts. You know, if I'm always maledicted, maybe I can get a purple color-coordinated contract.
Yeah, he's a hard hero to bring down. He's level 6. He has no items that give stats apart from 2 Iron Branches, and he still has 1,000 health. That is one durable hero.
Yeah, they're going to be moving on to the top lane, looking to get a kill onto the anti-mage. He's going to blink away, still gets hit by that Ignite spell shield, not utilized. Counterspell, even. That is going to be finishing off the tier 1 top as soon as this glyph expires.
They have almost no way of killing anti-mage. Unless
Magic Missile in the bottom. They're looking to finish off the Viper, getting hit by the Lucent Beam. Double Stroke of Fate once more. Down goes the Viper. They're going to be committing onto this using the Soulbind as well as the Double Phantom. But Kira's in a lot of trouble here, killing the Venge with another beautiful Stroke of Fate.
The damage on that Stroke of Fate was insane. Didn't think it would connect.
2 heroes and several creeps. Very, very edge of the range on that.
Yeah, powerful ability. Venge is very close. 3 gold from the Midas. Venge can now buy the Midas, finally freeing up the ability to buy some support items.
A 12-minute Midas, while not the best timing, is still impressive for a hero that's not farming.
12-minute Midas for a tier 5 is incredible. I would be so happy with that.
Oh, here we go. We're finally going to get some bounces on the paralyzing cast. Down will go the Ogre, the Maledict finally paying off in the mid lane.
He didn't commit the Death Ward, so he's still got that if he wants to go for a kill soon.
Dendybot thinking about rotating in, wisely backing off instead. He's going to go push the top lane. You've got 2 heroes looking to rotate into Dendybot as well. Rohobot is going to be flanking on the backside. Suddenly the collapse. They see it. There's the paralyzing cask, only single bounce. And no catch is available.
I just want to talk about this Necrophosis build, bot Dendi, as it were, going phase boots straight into Radiance. It's a pretty greedy build. It will give you a lot of damage, that's for sure, but yeah, I think you might end up being a little bit too squishy, but we'll see.
I am very hesitant in my thoughts on this, but the one thing that I will say is denial of the tower in the mid lane.
Yeah,
You're
nice.
against an anti-mage who has a Midas. He's going to be delayed on the usual spikes that you're seeing, but how greedy is too greedy?
I'm not sure you want to outgreed an anti-mage, that's sort of my perspective, but Luna does farm very fast as well. She sort of has a built-in Battle Fury, as it were, with the, you know, the Moonglaves. So Luna can definitely keep up with the farm from the anti-mage, and if they're foreseeing this game is going to go on for a long time, it's going to be lots of farming, it's going to be quite passive, then yeah, go for it. Get the Midas on the, not the Midas, the Radiance on the Necrophos.
I'm wondering
I'd do it.
I'm wondering if there's a little bit of just like trauma or memory from their first engagement as well, when both Cookie and Davi, just the 2 carries, put such a pummeling onto medium bots. If they're just worried about, okay, we need to be able to match them in the late game. Oh no, the Death Ward committed in the top lane, but that does not go through Ghost Shroud. So Dendybot feels happy.
He's very safe against Witch Doctor. He can also heal up the Maledict, so that stops Maledict doing almost any damage to him at all.
Necrophos is just a great counter overall to the Witch Doctor. They're going to be pushing on this tier 2 at 50 minutes into the game. We might
aggressive.
see them pick this up.
I mean, if they could take that this early in the game, that'd be a really great pick-off. They've now brought Pugna here, so they definitely can go for it if they want. I don't think they have the range to get
They're
Marianne.
looking to close the gap. Not going to quite have the reach.
Yeah,
for medium
Venge
bots.
without boots. It makes it very hard to get in range to swap.
And Venge not even working on boots now, just going directly for a Glimmer Cape.
Did he
Venge-
forget he's allowed to buy boots, right?
Yeah.
There is a Sabotage which stops a hero buying boots, but that's not in this game.
That's Cold Feet. That's not here.
Yeah.
A lot of action at the top. The movement in. Paralyzing Cask out. Fire Remnant. That's going to be bringing down Hammy. They have great Lucent Beam. And this is